we're going to go ahead and talk about graphing and functions. You can see this comes from Chapter 12, Lesson 1, and it also was a little bit part of Lesson 2 and Lesson 4 as well. But we're going to start with just talking about graphing, just reviewing all that concepts. You know all this already. You've done this several times in the past. I know you did in 6th grade and in elementary school, so it'll be just a quick review. Notice the materials you're going to need: your spiral notebook, some graph paper, which I gave you a copy of the sheet that has all the little coordinate planes on that. You're going to need that, and it'd be great if you could have a ruler. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video and get those materials, and then come on back and let's continue on. Alright, I'm assuming you have your materials now and we're ready to get started. You have your spiral notebook out and ready to go, and we are going to go ahead and just review the vocabulary real quick. You're going to hear me talking about the word quadrants. Quad, that prefix always means 4, no matter where you see it. Quadrilateral. Quadrants always means 4 parts. An ordered pair, that simply is directions and how to get to a point. You've got the X first and then the Y. X and then Y, alphabetical order. And then the origin also you should be familiar with. That's of course the center of the coordinate plane. So just to make sure you're understanding all of those items and where they are, it's just a quick picture for you. You've got a coordinate plane. Here is my x-axis in red, horizontal. Y-axis is vertical. And then the origin is there in the center. It'd be great if I had a point here. You do need to copy down these vocabulary words. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that. But you need to know what each of these words stand for. Here we have quadrants. There are 4 quadrants on a coordinate plane. They are labeled with Roman numerals. This is not number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. This is Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, 3, and 4. Did you notice that we're going around counterclockwise? Counterclockwise, if that will help you remember the quadrants. You will have to know the names of the quadrants. If I say find a point in quadrant 2, you should be able to name a point in that quadrant. Here you have a coordinate plane, and on your coordinate plane, I want you to go ahead and graph these points. Now my coordinate plane is much bigger than the one you have in front of you, and that's okay. As you know, those axes, the X and Y axes, do go on forever and ever in all the directions, even though it only goes up to number 6 on your paper. Here I have point A. The ordered pair that would go with point A. Can you name that? It is 2, 2. You would go 2 on the x-axis, 2 on the y-axis, bring your fingers together, and where they meet is point A. Go ahead and name the ordered pair for B and C. Alright, how did you do? This should be 0, -4. A lot of people miss these and put the -4 first. Here's a way to remember it. Remember the X comes first. This point is on the Y line, on the Y-axis, so your -4 needs to be where the Y value is. The Y value is -4, so the ordered pair is 0, -4. And for C, it is on the X-axis. It is on the X-axis, so the -5 on the X goes where the X value is, and the Y would be 0. So that would be -5, 0. These are the hardest types of points to label. A lot of students get those mixed up. Try to use those tricks to help you remember. Now I do want you to go ahead and give a couple, try on your own. Go ahead and graph each of these points and label them. You can go ahead and pause the video until you're finished, and then pick that back up and see how you did. Alright, we're doing D, E, and F. D is at -3, 6. -3, 6. So I'm going to go, starting at the center, I'm going to go over to -3 first, and then up to +6. Here's where you should have D. E is at 0, 2. So I'm going to go 0 first, and then 2. Another way of looking at it, the 2 is in the Y location, so the point has to go on the Y line at the 2. And then F was at 5, 0. 5, 0. So the 5 is in the X spot, the X location. So I need to find 5 on my X line, and that's where I'm going to put my point. That's just a real quick review of graphing. Would you go ahead and name a point that's in quadrant 4. Name a point that's in quadrant 4. That's right, we don't have any in quadrant 4. How about quadrant 2? Name a point that's in quadrant 2. Great. Point D. Name a point that's in quadrant 1. Great, that would be A. And quadrant 3. Right, there's none in quadrant 3. These points B, C, E, and F are not in a quadrant, they're on an axis. Name 2 points that are on the x-axis. You're right, F and C. And of course the other 2 would be on the y-axis, B and E. B and E. Those are not in a quadrant, they are on an axis. That's a quick review of graphing. You really need to know the ordered pairs. The X value comes first. You need to know how to graph using, if you're given an ordered pair, you also need to tell the ordered pair when looking at a point, and you need to know the quadrants. We're going to talk about how to practice that when you get to class. Thanks.